The evolution of the US-China relationship is the single most critical determinant of Australia's international environment over the next few decades. If it goes well, this country's got a good future. If it goes badly, we're screwed. So we as a national priority should absolutely be aiming to do whatever we can to influence both the US and China.
Yeah.
To build that relationship in a way that works for us. And we shouldn't be, even if we only have a 5% chance of making a difference, why wouldn't we try? You know, what do we say to our grandchildren? If 35 years from now, the region's been ripped apart by a nuclear war between the United States and China, and they ask us, what did you guys do to stop that happening? I mean, there it was. Look at what you were all saying in 2011, 2012, 2013 about this wonderful new age. It all fell apart in 2014, to be pessimistic. What did you do to stop it? And if we say, oh, well, we weren't sure the Americans really wanted to hear from us.
I don't know if there's a parallel here, but as Trade Minister, it was fascinating. I had the assumption that Australia was a significant but not a big influence in international trade negotiations. But so many countries came to us to ask what we thought.
That's right.
And interestingly, China would do that, and the US would do that. And there was a little bit of them asking what we thought the others thought.
No, look, that's exactly right.
It was sort of more of our position of credibility and acting in good faith that was valuable.
Look, that's exactly right, but also your influence in these situations depends a great deal on the quality of your ideas. And if you've got a good idea,
you don't have to be big.
You don't have to be big. I mean, Lee Kuan Yew is one of the best demonstrations of this. But it's also true of us. I mean, we have had some very big wins on the trade front. Ideas like the Cairns Group, ideas like APEC, worked because they were good ideas. Now, you also have to have the trade craft. You have to take the idea and then you have to turn it into a real diplomacy. And, Australian trade diplomacy, I think, over the years has been extremely good. But first of all, you've got to have the idea. And one of the things is that although when we look at Beijing and when we look at Washington, we see these immense sort of monoliths. In fact, both of them are quite open towns. They're open markets for ideas. Washington, of course, obviously and especially, but I think Australians do underestimate what an open city Washington is. You go to Washington with an idea.
To Washington,
and they will listen to you if it's a good idea. Now, they won't necessarily agree with you. They might give you a hard time, but I mean, I've been arguing a very, to Americans, counterintuitive idea on the future of the US-China relationship. And my sort of shorthand for my reception is, Hugh, I've read your book, completely disagree. We must go to lunch and talk about it. and it really has been the experience. But also in Beijing, it's a more open, Beijing is a town that's full of ideas. There's a lot of debate that goes on there. There are limits around that debate. But